You want answers?
I think I'm entitled to.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Well, hey there, everyone. Welcome to the Prepared Mind channel. It is the Free for All Friday. It has been one heck of a week. I hope you've done well, and I hope you've paid attention to what's going on out there. You know what I'm talking about. All the left-wing lunacy that we've been dealing with, all of the shit that's hit the fan. And a topic has come out that I want to start the show off. But before we do that, I want you to remember this is the Free for All Friday. So if you're on subscribestar.com at The Prepared Mind, or if you're at thepreparedmind.club on our premium service, either way, $2 a month. We make it easy for you. We give you a choice of two positive options. Anyways, if you're here live, and you'll know if we're live because you'll hear people down in the comments just rolling on, having a good time. So if you are here live, I want your questions, because on Friday, unlike Monday through Thursday, where I talk for 30 minutes, then give you guys 30 minutes of questions, on Free for All Friday, you get to go one after the other with me. So get your questions in now. Man will take care of it. Jolene apparently is in the, she's in the submarine taking the weekend off. But she'll be back for Sunday Night Live, guaranteed. But in the meantime, you got the dynamic duo. You got Bat Man and John Wonder. Anyways, we're ridiculous. So let's do this. Let's get started. Let's just leave all the other stuff behind, dig in a little bit, see what's shaking, see what you're thinking about, and get set for this weekend. Now, yeah, it's going to be a good talk. So let's do the top story. Well, really big issues come up. Finally, I get to discuss it in its proper context. You know that Trump is being tried. He's been indicted. He's been arraigned. He's been charged with criminal offenses by the absolute deplorable Jack Smith, lying prosecutor. And he's in front of a judge who is an Obama appointee, who is not even from this country. Since when can a judge, a lowly judge, trust me, folks, they are lowly. Yeah, they went to college, supposedly. Yeah, they took the bar exam, supposedly. Yeah, they've been working that way. But really, what is a judge compared to the President of the United States, right? And that title belongs to Trump. To Trump. Very few men are alive at any one point in the history of this republic who could say that they're president. Anyways, Trump has been charged with these crimes, supposed crimes that everyone's laughing at. In fact, the more they charge him with, the greater the support the American people have, because we know what the fuck's going on. Now, the judge does not want Trump out there speaking, and has warned him that, hey, you are talking and that's witness tampering. And the judge has threatened an arrest warrant if Trump doesn't shut up. Folks, the top story for today is called election interference. And I'm not talking about Trump breaking the law. I'm talking about the judge. That's right, folks. Now, here it is. Courts have been using their power to silence people, to silence their free speech for decades. They want to silence free people. Now this judge is using this same notion or idea against a political candidate for the office of the president. Now, is any stinking judge more important than the electoral process for president of these United States? Ask that question. Is a little judge in a kangaroo court, banana republic, plastic banana, good time rock and roll bullshit of a case more important than the election of the next president of this country? The answer in my book is no. But trash and sewage sucking liberals, folks, will take any and every step they can to usurp the common law, which is the law through which the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution have come to us. And folks, they have usurped our sacred Constitution, which recognizes the God-given rights of every man, woman, and child. We all have rights. Now, Trump can and should speak as often as he wishes about anything he wishes. It's called free speech. It's the First Amendment, and it is now on trial here. And it's the death sentence if this silencing is allowed. It's the death sentence of the country, folks. The political left, the Biden administration, the Democrat bureaucracy, the judicial socialist system has got our republic in its grasp. If the First Amendment fails and the First Amendment falls under the boot of these people, then we only have the Second Amendment left. If the republic fails and falls, then we, the people, have no choice but to proclaim independence from the evils of governing bodies that seek their own worship and obedience from us, the true sovereigns in this country. We, the people, right? Government, understand this, folks. Government has authority and government has power, but we, the people, have rights. And that power, that authority is only exercised through the permissions of we, the people, and our rights as sovereigns to create and support a government. And we can choose not to support a government and be in the right. We have the right. Government does not have rights. Government has power. Government has authority. But government is subject to the will of the people and to our rights. It's too bad this has been long forgotten by any Democrat if they ever knew and understood it in the first frickin' place. All right, that's it. That's how I'm going to start this show off, man. That's what I wanted to start with, the powerful message about them attacking our liberties. And if they can silence Trump and say anything you say is going to influence witnesses or influence a jury, what do you think the judge, the prosecutor, the mainstream media is doing to witnesses with their 24/7 badgering, belittling, besmirching, and attacking both Trump and our country? Well, we know that the hypocrites on the Democrat socialist side of the aisle, they don't even mind being hypocrites as long as they win. They would sell their soul, folks, to own and control this country. That is who they are. All right, let's be good to our word. Who is going to step up? Who wants to follow that with their topic, their subject? Get your questions down below. But Jane Dixon, she has stepped up first and has what I think is going to be some good topics to cover. So, America is officially a banana republic. It's hard to argue with that considering current events. And commies talk about democracy run by three-letter bureaucrats. Democracy, folks, is awful. Democracy is one of the worst systems of governance the world has ever seen. It's probably right behind a non-benevolent dictatorship, because a democracy is rule by majority, or the mob. Unlovingly nicknamed mobocracy, democracy only requires a vote. And if there are 4 wolves and 3 sheep and they vote to see who they're eating for dinner, you bet that the 4 wolves will outnumber, outvote, and eat one of the sheep. And then they'll have a super majority rather than a simple majority. Anyways, yeah, democracy is a 3-letter run by 3-letter bureaucrats. Yeah, bureaucrats, folks. Oof, they're appointed. That's even worse than people who are elected. Now, Americans need to rally at every courthouse, city hall, and let them know no more crap. We have inalienable rights, and they don't. I'll tell you what, for they have abused the rights and privileges we gave them. I just covered this just a few minutes ago. They have abused the authority and power, which is a privilege we bestowed upon them, and we can just as easily take away. The only way to take it away, though, is to, one, exercise our free speech, which you noted in part 2 of your question. We need to scream loudly. We need to command the government to obey. Not really obey us first, but obey their oath, which is to the Constitution, which we created for the government to obey. In other words, obedience. We keep talking about who has to obey who. The government is supposed to obey the will of the people, us. And then the rules are laid out. It's not like they're having to make this shit up. They're not going to go, how do we get through today? Well, let's just make up some rules. No, the rules are already in place. It's called the Constitution. It's called the Bill of Rights. So, yes, they've abused the authority they've been vested with, right? And their special privileges should be limited, not expansive. Privilege isn't met and guarded with a shield of immunity for actions they take where they violate the rules, the Constitution, their oaths. And in fact, I want to continue to talk about this very quickly in response to Jane's question, right? A violation of an oath, I think, should constitute criminal offense because there is a damaged party. The rights of the people are damaged when an oath is violated by an elected or appointed official because somebody will lose. We lose our rights. There is a monetary value to that. For example, if someone were to violate my rights and arrest me, a policeman, for example, unlawfully, and put me in jail for 1 day, my life has value. My time has value. And that guy, that government official, that government agent, that government employee, that government servant should have to pay me what I say my time is worth. And let's see, personal suffering and psychological trauma. You see, that's how this game should work. So that they, when they violate rules and their oaths, have to pay. And if they do so in such a manner that affects many people, then that should be considered a high crime, a felony. Now, if you look at the St. George Floyd case, the 3 policemen that happened to stand around and try and detain the man who was dying of a drug overdose, St. George Floyd, they were charged criminally for violation of that criminal, that felony criminal's rights, who was in the, shall we say, unenviable position of committing a felony. While he was being arrested, he'd managed to die on everybody. And then they were, they were the cause celeb for the 2020 riots. But, they were held accountable. I think elected officials, elected agents, elected servants, they're public servants, folks. They're not our gods. We don't have to obey them. Woo! All right, Jane, you got me fired up there. You did. I want to thank Michael Brown, who did a $10 super chat donation on a free for all Friday. Michael, thank you again for all you do to support this channel. In fact, something interesting came up today, and I posted it on YouTube because that's the quickest way I could get the word out. Is apparently Dabu7 has not had his channel removed from YouTube, but rather he's been demonetized. In other words, they took away his ability to collect pennies, nickels, and dimes. But Dabu reported in his post, which I reposted. He posted that they're still putting commercials on all of his videos, as they are wont to do, and as they have announced and told us through their special system that anytime they want, they'll put as many advertisements as they wish on every single channel, whether it's monetized, that is to say, they're giving us money or not. Now, the Prepared Mind channel is monetized, right? The reason being, we would like to raise as many nickels, dimes, and pennies as we can to pay for things. Things cost money, right? All the social media connections, all the subscriptions we have, all the work and things we pay for Cost money, right? And you guys support us, and that's freaking awesome. People like Michael Smith stepping in. I'm sorry, Michael Brown. Michael Smith is someone else altogether. But thank you, Michael. And yeah, Dabu is now being told you don't get no more money because Dabu talks about controversial topics. So I wonder if that is their next step. Their next step is to continue to profit off of people producing content that they can't censor, but they can demonetize. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? If something's controversial and the creator doesn't get to get paid anymore, but YouTube can continue to put commercials on it and they collect all of the cash value. What a fucking racket. What a racket. I think that they're actually, if this is true, and it should be because Dabu posted what they sent him, I think they're ripe for a lawsuit. If it's suitable enough for them to run advertisements and make money off of content others create, then they should honor the original arrangement with that person and do whatever sharing system they have. Anyways, folks, this is the world we're in. This is the world we're in, one where censorship, financial punishment, hardship is visited upon you and I, making our lives more difficult, while they profit from and enjoy the benefits of our labor, just like the government does. They tell us we're bad and evil, but don't worry, they're still going to collect taxes from us. Isn't that just freaking beautiful? How beautiful is that? Wow, folks, I've got a lot of interesting things to talk about. I want to know what you're thinking of. I want to know where you're at up here. It has hit the fan. I hope you are prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. And I hope you're enjoying my satire. Is it conspiratorial satire? Is it controversial satire? Or is it super duper funny? I tell you what, I make me laugh. I think we're mostly funny. I've been laughing at these idiots forever, while at the same time, simultaneously, reporting on, discussing what is happening in the world. So let's do it. Let's see what's on your mind. Ooh, man, who do we want to place up next? And we've got Village Idiot. He says, Red Friday. What? He says, remember everyone deployed Friday. Red Friday. If I remember correctly, President Biden commanded the inactive reserves report for duty. I don't know, Village Idiot. I don't remember seeing long lines of people saying, really, Mr. Biden, where can we show up because we want to obey you? You know, here's some people that signed up, though, for service. The U.S. Navy has 2 sailors in it that have been caught spying for China. And they have been handing over secrets. That's right, folks. Interesting, huh? Yin Kao Wei and Wen Henzhou. I put my best Chinese accent on those, even though I probably still pronounced them wrong. So Yin Chao Wei and Wen Henzhou. Bad, right? 22-year-old sailor and a 26-year-old sailor. Separate cases. But these guys were giving military secrets, operational secrets to the Chinese, and they were caught. I want to know how many sailors in China are white or black or Native American, with parents who are, from America. I wonder how many Chinese sailors they are that look like me. Probably none. And if there were, do you think they would be allowed to know and have access to Chinese military secrets? Folks, they know better, right? China knows better. But America, oh no, we better not. Take a look at someone's name and wonder, right? And look back. Now, I'm not saying lock them up and put them in internment camps the way Democrats did to Japanese Americans. I'm just saying maybe you ought to do a little more research on people that you allow, right? Now, this is interesting. Oh, and Uman has more to contribute. Well, well, well. Both sailors were non-citizens, and at least one of them got their citizenship during enlistment. Well, what do you mean? How can one get their citizenship, but they're non-citizens? I know that non-citizens can enlist, and they have been able to do that for a long time, folks. When I was in the Marine Corps, we had people from Africa that I met who were in the Marine Corps, and it was a path to citizenship. But I guess what Uman is saying is prior to enlistment, they were non-Americans. Interesting, folks. There's also a third sailor. His name was Holy Fook. Holy Fook is also being held for suspicious sense of humor. Yeah. I wonder if these guys were like rolling up secret papers, confidential papers, and then like meeting at a restaurant and handing them over. I wonder if they went to Joe Biden's garage, went over behind his Corvette and got into his box of top secret paperwork and was giving that to the Chinese military. I wonder where they got that stuff. Wow. Wow, that is amazing. Absolutely freaking fabulous. I hope you've had a good week, folks. I hope you've had a good week. All right, here comes Chin Music. He says, well, when they get discharged, they can be cops in Illinois. Hey, why the hell not, right, Chin? Because in Illinois, you can be hired as a policeman even if you're a non-citizen. That's right. If you're from another country, doesn't matter what country, you can be from another country that doesn't have common law, doesn't have it, isn't a constitutional republic, right? Is a third world thug dictator state. You can take that mentality and go to Chicago and become a cop without becoming a U.S. citizen, without taking a constitutional test, a law test, without taking a criminal justice. And folks, every person I've ever talked to that's taken criminal justice in high school and college, all they teach in those classes is how to get around the Constitution, how to deny people's constitutional rights, how to shit all over the Constitution, how to say the state is supreme. It's just sickening. And I know that's what they teach cops. And I'll tell you what, I've got a great story to teach you or tell or share. And I've shared it before. A guy I went to high school with, his name is Tim. I will not give out his last name. He was excited because he wanted to be a California Highway Patrol. And then I saw him a couple years later. He had been doing ride-alongs with the CHP. He applied to get to the academy there in Sacramento, and he finally made it. And then he came back, and he took his usual regular job that he had left. And he worked as a type of middle management at a lumber company. And I asked him, I said, Tim, what are you doing back? He says, John, you wouldn't believe what they're teaching at the California Highway Patrol Academy. They're teaching to completely disregard people's rights and just walk all over them. Folks, that was over 30 years ago. Imagine what they're teaching them now. Imagine what they're teaching them now. We've got a bunch of idiots, folks. Idiots in this country, running this country, in charge in this country. It's amazing. Imagine this, folks. A huge percentage of the population works for government at the state or the local or the county or even the federal level. These people have no concept of right and wrong. They don't. And then the ones that work in corporations that have no concept of right or wrong or what the hell's going on. They just happen to have these jobs. It's amazing. Now, in Australia, down under, one of these idiots who happens to have a job, happens to be in charge, was engaged in a, shall we say, panel discussion with the government, right? One of these committee hearings. And this person is a Pfizer executive. And guess what he couldn't do? Guess what this incompetent or lying or both bumbling idiot said? Well, it's not what he said, it's what he couldn't say. He couldn't provide a definitive answer as to why Pfizer's Jim Jones juice causes myocarditis and pericarditis. Isn't that fucking fascinating? Really, right? He has no idea at all why the Pfizer Jones juice causes myocarditis and pericarditis. They never heard about it through the testing phase. They never saw any evidence of that during the testing phase. They didn't create the technology in 2020 after Cerveza bug showed up. They didn't. The technology had been being developed for at least 20 years at that point. In fact, the guy who developed the technology to create the mRNA Jim Jones juice, he's the one that's been speaking out against it. And he too was silenced, even though he is the foremost expert on it. But knowing all of that, knowing that Pfizer has had access to 20 years worth of research, this guy had no idea at all why myocarditis and pericarditis are a symptom of a very serious, common negative reaction to being injected with this Jim Jones juice. Thanks, Pfizer. You're the best. And these people lie. And these are the leftists. These are the socialists. These are people who will take a paycheck to screw you over. Is it any wonder that the world is in the trouble it's in? Well, the Peter principle's at work, folks. People are rising to the level of their incompetence. Scary business. What do you think? Again, have any of you taken the Jim Jones juice and noticed a difference in your life? Do any of you know other people who have taken the Jim Jones juice and had them either have a negative reaction, have side effects, strange symptoms, something serious, or even death? And to that question, I can raise my hand and go, yeah, I know people. And I know of other people. But I know people directly who died from it. So for me, I've got to try and find the ironic satire in it all, while simultaneously biting my tongue, because I know what these people have done to us, our people, our country, and the world. Here we are, folks. Here we are. We're halfway through the show, and guess what? You guys have more topics to talk about. So Mr. Uman, who is going to step up next? Who has something to say? And it's name redacted. He says, John, there is no possibility of getting the Republic back. Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Orlando sent me a message today along those same lines, Mr. Redacted. And it was, whoa, what do we do? You know, we'll talk more about that in a minute. I want to continue with your comments. He says, the people that care or would act are too few. The surveillance state was too powerful back to the church committee and now are a Leviathan. Okay, so what he's talking about, the church committee is from the 1970s. The church committee was set up and it started investigating the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, and looked into their operations. And it was revealed they had one called Operation Mockingbird, through which the CIA at that time in the 1970s admitted it had, shall we say, CIA agents, moles, inside of all media types back in the 1970s, over 40 years ago. 50 years ago, they had already infiltrated tabloids, periodicals, newspapers, radio, television. They already had it, folks. They also revealed the heart attack gun and a couple other things in the church committee. So if they were that powerful back then, imagine the Leviathan, the many-armed, tentacled, filthy sewer rat of a monster that this deep state is. So to return back to the beginning of Name Redacted's, or the comments, he says there's no possibility of getting the Republic back. Well, this other discussion I had today was that if it would seem that the World Economic Forum, the globalists, are going for broke. They're not backing off on Trump. They're going full guns on everything. They are not going to give up. And what I said was, my response to some comments was, they're going to either win or they're going to burn it all to the ground. And what I meant by that when I wrote it was they're going to win or they're going to do as much damage to this country as they can, which itself would destroy this country. It wouldn't burn every house to the ground. It wouldn't destroy every road, every bridge, but it would certainly stop the American, shall we say, economic, cultural, and social system where it's at. And we will get the Great Reset one way or another. I agree, name redacted. We're not going to get the old republic back that we had. But if they don't win, and there's a good chance they won't, because they, the government, are incompetent boobs. And they're good at failing. Look at them right now. They're failing. So if they're so good at failing everything else, what makes us think that they're going to win the big enchilada? Now, in the process, they can destroy a lot. They can ruin this government. They can ruin the economy, the monetary system, the people, etc. Like the Roman Empire that fell because it was corrupt beyond repair. The people continued, lived. A lot of people died. The republic fell, but people lived. So in our situation, name redacted, I'll tell you this. I want to put a silver lining on this cloud, flaming cloud of debris, is that after the dust settles, if they don't have absolute tyrannical control through their technocracy of us, if we resist, if we fight back, if we put a monkey wrench in their plans, and we take away their power, their authority, their support, their financing, then they're going to lose. But yes, they'll destroy the economy. They'll destroy the government. They'll destroy everything they can on the way down as they lose. And I suggest that we, the people who've been paying attention, remember them and who they are and their names, and that we rout them out of whatever stinking snake hole they try and hide in, and hold them accountable. And we can, or we may, of our own accord as free people, having had to suffer through what is being caused, we can form a new republic and reestablish rules and governance as we see fit. Now, the other thing is here, looking at this, this is the price that is paid. Freedom is never free. I'll tell you that, name redacted. We all know it. Freedom is never free. It's just, when is it paid for, who pays for it, and how much. So people paid for freedom long before 1776. In 1776, the people said no more in the American colonies. And then they paid not just taxes, but they paid with blood for freedom. And we, the people of the world, the people of America, have paid for freedom and liberty ever since. But there is a big down payment for it. And it looks like we are about to pay that installment. In insurance, they call it a premium. Well, you're insured the whole year, but we're going to charge you 50% up front. That's the premium. And then you pay a monthly fee every month. Well, we're about to pay a big fucking premium for our next allotment of freedom. And it could come in the form of war, famine, pestilence, all these things. It could last 3 years, 5 years, 10 years before we're free. And then even after we're free, we're going to have a considerable amount of time that we suffer as we rebuild and people regain confidence in themselves, and that we establish a government that can be governed by us, and that we remember what government is supposed to be doing, and that is representing us, not telling us what to do. I feel kind of like I'm on my high horse. Hey, thanks, name redacted. Great topic. Now it's my turn. It's my turn. Get this, folks. This is a huge World War III development. Over in Ukraine, oh, name redacted continued. I'll hold off on mine and continue with name redacted. So the larger issue is that any building movement of resistance will be quashed before it can organize. Well, I've heard of flash mobs in the past, and I think that that can happen very quickly. Only it would be a flash mob that's armed to the teeth. Get ready. Get ready. I'll tell you what. My analogy for you, name redacted, I'm going to get medieval on this with the ice cream truck. That's right. This is John's ice cream truck analogy. Get ready for it. When you were a kid, did you have to get an invitation from the ice cream truck? And I am being slightly facetious, but I'm also being honest with the descriptive analogy. When you were a kid, did you need to get a letter in the mail, an invitation? They didn't have to use the radio, television. You could hear the music blocks and blocks away. You could hear that fucking ice cream truck. You knew the ice cream truck music, and you could hear it a long ways away. And then, as it got closer, you could hear people, other kids on the street, ice cream. You might know some of this story from Eddie Murphy. Ice cream, ice cream. Kids start screaming, ice cream. People realize what's going on and coming, and they start talking about it. And as it gets closer and closer, kids go and get the tools they need so that if and when that ice cream truck turns down their street, they can get what they need to get done, buying an ice cream cone. So right now, you and I, we're the people that can hear that fucking ice cream truck of revolution blocks away. We're like, oh, fuck. Right? And as it gets closer and closer to a time of, shall we say, correcting government misbehavior, other people start to notice around us, and you start seeing more and more activity. People run and get their freedom seed spreaders. And when that shit, when that SHTF comes down their street in their neighborhood, guess what? They go and they take care of business. We won't need an invitation, name redacted. We won't need a letter. We won't need radio or television to tell us the ice cream truck of 1776 is coming. We'll all know because we'll be hearing the reaction. Everyone will get out their bang sticks. Bang, 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 bang. We'll know where to go because you'll hear it. And people will join in and take care of business. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. I know we've got more comments and stuff, but I want to cover Ukraine and a huge World War III development. Thank you, name redacted. Whew, I tell you, look out. Okay, we are here. We're now in this room. Ukraine, folks, used a drone torpedo, and I'm sure it was a U.S. supplied one. What do you think? Do you think Ukraine has the technology and the money to develop their own drone torpedo technology? Fucking fat chance. Fat fucking chance. So this drone torpedo fired by the Ukrainians hit a Russian warship. That's right, the Black Sea Fleet of Russia in Novorossiysk. Boy, these Russians got great names. They hit a Russian warship with a torpedo. They didn't sink it, but they've crippled it. They've absolutely crippled it. Looks like a broadside hit to me, and it's in the Black Sea, kind of listing to the side. The Ropucha class landing ship, an LST, right? The name of the ship is the Olengorsky Gornyak. Well, it's listing heavily, big flames. It got hit. My question to you is, what do you think the Russian response to this is? Oh, you want to hit a civilian bridge? We're going to fuck your shit up. And they did. And they really smashed the shit out of Ukraine. And then they said, you know what? You want to attack us? You want to attack our civilians? Then we're going to show you what happens. And they bombed, folks. Took out 40,000 tons, not 40,000 grains or 40,000 pounds, 40,000 tons, a ton being 2,000 pounds. 40,000 tons of grain. They blew the shit out of it, along with other things. Now, Ukraine's like, well, we're not just going to hit civilian bridges and kill civilian Russians. Now we're going to hit one of your warships. This weekend is going to be interesting. It sure is, folks. What the fuck do you think the Russians are going to do to Ukraine next? You know what? At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if, how do I put this? This isn't a prediction, but it is an acknowledgement of potential. That Belarus may join as an ally of Russia and come down through the north side of Ukraine, out of Belarus, and make a run at Kiev. I don't know. At this point, folks, they have really gone overboard. They're not fighting. Ukraine isn't. And I'm no lover of Russia, folks. I want you to understand that again. I think the Russians are pretty fucking dangerous. I don't trust them any more than I trust Voldemort Zelensky or Emmanuel Macron of France. I don't trust any of them because I think they're all disingenuous, lying political pieces of shit. All of them. But, you know, even if I don't like my neighbor, even if I don't like my neighbors around me, I don't go put grenades in their yard. I don't set their houses on fire. I don't attack them, even if I don't like them. So if I had one neighbor attack another neighbor and he retaliated, I'd be like, well, you fucking earned it, you dumbass. Right? So here we are. You want to attack Russia, you're starting a fight, a big fight. This could break into more. And the other day I did read, right, the World War I explanation in bar fight form and had a good time. Maybe I'll do World War II next. But I did improvise what's happening today, right, with everyone who is keyed up and geared up for war. All right, Mr. Who-Man, I know we got some more questions out there, comments. It is the Free for All Friday. And it is none other than Orlando. He says, John, people forget that they are making contingency plans right now and have been for years in case they don't win. And he's talking about the World Economic Forum, globalist, corporate, fascist government types, private government types. He says the real danger is not so much what they're doing, but not knowing what they're preparing to do to us. Well, interesting. We've got danger on both sides. We are surrounded with danger. All right, we've had a dangerous past. We're in a dangerous position now, and depending on which way we go, you are correct. We are surrounded by danger. Now, as a brilliant military strategist once noted, when his troops were surrounded on all sides by his enemy, and I'll paraphrase him, he says, great, we're surrounded. You know, we've got them in front of us on all sides. We know who to attack. Everything they do, folks, we know is aimed at us. And everywhere we go and fight back will make a difference, right? They've fallen right into our clutches, folks. As patriots, we know all around us that every government institution is an unlawful, unconstitutional, dangerous enemy of the state. Every three letter, even FEMA, which is a 4-letter. So every 3-letter and 4-letter government bureaucracy we know is our enemy. And they think they've got us surrounded. We just happen to know that every single one of them is not on our side and therefore our enemy. And we know who they are and where they are. They've surrounded us. We've got them in our sights. If anyone were to bring me someone to go, hey, John, guess what I captured today? And we're talking about a football game, folks, not anything violent. Hey, we were playing flag football, John, and I captured this guy who's from the IRS. I'm going to know right away that that guy is not good. Hey, John, I captured somebody from a law enforcement organization. Hey, you're not a good person because you know you've been violating people's rights in SHTF. Guess what your prize is? Hey, it's somebody from the court system. And I'll be, hey, nice, great, you've been captured. You are not on my side. You're not a good person. You're not on anyone's side. You're on the side of government, which has been usurping our rights. See what I'm saying, folks? Playing flag football in my field is not going to be very good. And they're in front of me. Every direction I turn, doesn't matter which way I face. I know that my enemy has surrounded me. Therefore, any effort I put in any direction is going to have a positive result on the end of it. All right, Orlando, I had some fun with that. And thank you again for your encouragement. Thank you, Mr. Skylight, for your encouragement and your help, your words of wisdom, your knowledge. Ooman, of course, and everyone else in the Prepared Mind Network who contacts me on a regular basis. You guys are awesome. And you're also, you can overload me sometimes, some days. But it's been good, folks. We're all awake. We all see what's coming. Indeed. Now, where do I go next? Let's do some more World War III since we're at the weekend. Right, I covered what's going on in Ukraine. How about a little more Africa? Right? Yeah, you bet. Put some Africa on the tray as we slide down the World War III buffet of bullshit. Well, France and the US are now standing behind, getting behind. They're probably going to arm, support, and fund West African democracies, folks. That's right. And they want to stop the coup in Niger. That's right, folks. So, yeah, the government has a new proxy war. Both France and the U.S. And Russia, interestingly, is backing the Burkina Faso, Mali, and Guinea. That's who they're backing. And they're going to defend the coup in Niger, that military junta. Oh, yeah, folks, it's going to get nasty. Now they're going to fight in Africa. We got one going in Europe and one in Africa. Starting to sound like World War II yet, where we had fighting between Germany and other countries that moved down into France. And we had fighting in Africa, North Africa for World War II. We had fighting in the Pacific between Japan and China, and then Japan and the United States, and Japan and Australia. Right? We've now got two hot spots. We could have many more right now. We could have China and Taiwan. We could have North Korea versus South Korea and Japan. We could have more fighting in Europe, more fighting in Africa. What could be better than that if you're Raytheon? Good golly, folks. I was shown an image of a Raytheon missile plant. And I thought, whoa, that's an interesting place. I'm glad I don't live by that. I wonder what they make there. Raytheon missile plant. Incredible stuff. Ooh, man, remind me to talk to you about that. Okay. Okay, ooh, man, what do we got? Who do you have on your end of the stick? Who is out there? Has something to say? And Mikey G says you can vote communists into power, but they never leave power peacefully. Look at the muzzle, smile, wait for the flash. And that's how commies operate. Yeah, they build excitement, enthusiasm. They make great promises of prosperity and comfort by taking other people's shit. They say, we the people have decided, yet it's a political oligarchy that runs socialist governments, folks, every time. Whether it's a fascist socialist government like the Nazis or a communist socialist government like the Soviet Union and China. In fact, folks, China, which is supposed to be a communist dictatorship, runs their economic institutions with fascism. That's right. Corporations can own stuff and profit in communist China. Quite interesting. In other words, communism in China says will allow you to have businesses and will allow you to have profit. Wow. Interesting stuff, huh? Right? Communists like communist Russia, or the Soviet Union, if you will, because it's no longer communist or Soviet, right? The government owned everything. It owned all manner of production, from farming to mining to industry. And nobody was allowed to live better than anyone else except the political class. Interesting stuff, folks. Whether it's socialism with fascism or socialism with communism, the people, average Joes like you and me, we're the ones that pay for it. We're the ones that suffer. I tell you what, I would rather pay and try and win than pay and be allowed a slice of bug pie for dinner the rest of my life. In other words, I don't think I'm going to bend the knee to socialism. Wow. Where do we go with this, folks? Where do we go next? Let's do this, right? Meatball McCarthy. That's right. Speaker of the House, shitheel Meatball McCarthy. He went and decided to lecture everyone on the two-tiered justice system. How wrong it is to have justice applied dissimilarly to people and politicians and the wealthy and the poor. But then the dumb son of a bitch, folks, continues and refuses to act as Biden allows him and his son a pass through control of the law enforcement bureaucracy and the media, while simultaneously prosecuting the hell out of his political opponent, President Trump. We want to talk about a two-tiered justice system. For the love of God, STFU, Meatball McCarthy, do something. Unbelievable. Well, they're at recess now, you know. And that's an appropriate term for Congress. Last time I was at recess, I was a child who the school gave little cartons of milk and cookies to, right? And then you go on recess and you go outside and play. Congress is on recess, right? Slurping milk and eating cookies that we provide them instead of doing the work they've been hired to do. Wow. Biden and, the entire Biden clan, including the president, including Hunter, right, are stacking up, right, criminal complaints. It's just one after another. Every day, something new comes up about these guys. Yet, the DOJ doesn't act, and neither does McCarthy. The opposition. Someone should be opposed to these bastards in government, yet they're not. If there's ever a time when you want to scream uniparty, there is no opposition party in America. Now is it. And you and I both talked about McCarthy as he weaseled and wormed his way into office. And I think you and I said that there should be a stipulation that if he's going to be Speaker of the House, day one, impeach Biden. And that was back then. There was plenty to impeach him on back then, folks. Plenty to impeach him on back then. And we've got 100 times that now. Yet McCarthy still hasn't. And the Republican Party in Congress has not thrown McCarthy out of his seat of authority and power and put someone in there who will serve the people and serve justice. Bunch of scumbags. Wow. Just killing me. All right, Mr. Ooh-Man. Who is up next? We've got who? Now we got Chin Music. He says, John, I know a lot of people. I don't have a lot of friends. There's a difference. 100%, man. I have a lot of people that I know. On top of that, I have people that I call acquaintances. But I'm going to tell you, and I had this discussion with a friend of mine the other day. I consider many of you acquaintances, and I'm certain that of you on YouTube here, that if I knew you in person and got to spend some time with you, that I would consider you a friend. I was speaking with a friend who is local here to me about the difference between an acquaintance and a friend. Right? Dogs are greater. Dogs are better than people. If you have a dog and you take care of it, you know, The dogs typically don't bite you, right? Snakes will turn on you and bite you. Coyote pretends to be a dog, pretends to be a friend, and then they'll bite you. So yeah, we need to find out who our real friends are and who are just acquaintances. We need to find out in our lives who the dogs are and who the coyotes are. And of course, it's pretty easy to find the snakes. But folks, I've had friends that I thought were friends, and they turned out to be coyotes. That one day, all of a sudden, it just suited them and they decided to bite. It's like, wow, I wonder what changed. And I had this discussion again. I have friends who are psychologists and friends who are professionals, friends who are philosophers, and you ask, what is it that happens in a person's life? And I think more often than not, there is probably, well, this is psychology. There's just people out there who are continually putting sticks in the spokes of others. They're poisoning the well in relationships. So your friend that was a friend may have been turned on you by another party that remains anonymous, that stays out of the way, right? A chameleon, now that we're using a lot of animal references. Anyways, there's a big difference, chip music, and I do agree with you. I do. But here's something I'm going to tell you also, and it's axiomatic. It is both cliche and wisdom at the same time, and that is keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. It's a dangerous game. It's a dangerous game, but it's in dangerous times, I think it's intelligent to do just that. Now, by saying keep your enemies closer, I don't necessarily mean put them in your house, right? But keep a close eye on them. Keep close enough to them that you can understand them. And that is exactly why we do the Prepared Mind channel every single day, except for Saturday, is because I want to keep what is going on very close to me. They are my enemies, and I want to keep them close to me. I want to keep them in mind so I see what they're doing and what they're up to. Literally, folks, our enemies, right? Now, yesterday I talked about Viktor Shokin, who was the Ukrainian prosecutor who was looking into the Biden, Hunter, and Joe connection that was operating through Burisma Energy in Ukraine. Did you know that in late 2019 that he was poisoned? That's right, folks. And Viktor Shokin is now speaking publicly about what happened. Right? And he's accusing Joe Biden of being involved in the poisoning that he suffered. And understand this, folks. After leaving the Obama administration in 2017, former Vice President, now President Joe Biden, bragged in a public speech about strong-arming, muscling, and shall we say bribing the government of Ukraine to fire its top prosecutor who is investigating his son, Viktor Shokin. How much more do we need to see, folks? Keep your enemies close. Keep them in mind. Understand who they are. If Joe Biden's willing to do to that, on that level, imagine what he thinks of us peons. All right, man, I know we've got a short statement to throw in here at the end of the show on this Free-for-All Friday, and it's Orlando. Trump posted a message saying, one more indictment to become president. Trump is interesting and humorous through all of this, right? We're going to find out where this all leads, folks, like it or not. You can either be ignorant of what's happening or you can be informed. Either way, we're going to have to play the game. We're going to have to see where this goes. We're going to have to live through it. And folks, I'd rather be the one watering the tree of liberty with someone else's vitals than me, myself, using my own. Because I think it was Thomas Jefferson said, from time to time, the tree of liberty needs to be watered, nourished with the blood of tyrants and patriots. meaning everybody pays. And I would hope, pray, and do my part to make sure the tyrants gave everything they had to the tree of liberty. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Thank you again, all, and I'll see you Sunday night live. Look out, be ready. If you're subscribed on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you've hit the notification bell, because I will send out posts throughout Sunday letting you know when it is. It's always 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. And then tomorrow, I'll be doing some training, some exercise. And I'll let you guys know at Aquatic Adventures with John, which is another YouTube channel, what's going on in that world. It's always fun. It's exciting. It's nourishing for the mind and the body. And you folks, I say here on this channel, right, I want to be prepared physically and mentally. And that requires exercise and getting out there and having a good time at it. At some point, it's not going to be a good time. For the time being, I'm going out and I'm having as much fun while I train and get ready physically, mentally, spiritually for the fight we have coming. God bless America. Semper Fi.